So, Mavuika's drip art came out not too long ago, and I've seen a lot of different opinions regarding the motorbike. In fact, I've seen a lot of mixed opinions on all of the Natlan designs in general over one core aspect which throws people off. Are these designs too modern? Well, today I thought it'd be fun to look at this in more detail. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. The first thing that I'm gonna say is that I'm going to be entirely honest with you. Even though I do find it somewhat immersion breaking sometimes, I do really like a lot of what the folks at Hoyo have come up with here. Kenichi is one of my favorite characters in the game. The guy's got it all. Cool dragon looking eyes, the most fun kit that I've ever had the pleasure of playing, a hilarious dragon pet accompanied by a fantastic design and voice overall. There's nothing about this character that I don't like. Does he fit into Genshin? Debatable. I always thought he'd fit more into Honkai Star Rail because he's kind of like a male Silverwolf to me, if that makes sense. He's got the whole gamer pixel energy going on. Literally just look at his trailer, it's all a big game reference, if you will, despite the fact that digital gaming does not exist in the world of Teyvat whatsoever. I remember being very puzzled and intrigued when I first saw how, because it was such a random looking entity in the context of Genshin's world. Nonetheless, the guy looked awesome as heck, so I was down to find out more. So even from the very beginning, something felt kind of different. I don't think a grappling hook is the most immersion-breaking thing ever. It's a pretty regular travel tool. It's more so all the gamer aesthetic stuff that might appear to be a bit out of place to people. But honestly, I really like all of this. It's different, it makes no sense in the context of Genshin's world, but remember when the Akasha terminal was literally Google? Yeah, what if Kenichi was downloading Roblox off of Sumeru Wi-Fi? You never know. Anyways, sure, he might be a bit modern, but he's incredibly awesome, so I instantly gave it a pass. It's a bit strange to link a character to video games in a world where they don't exist, but How is a pixel dude. And apparently the old dragon civilizations of Natlan were incredibly advanced. For all we know, the old civilization could have been Mario Kart Pros or something. When it comes to Mavuika's motorcycle, it will depend on the execution of it, but I don't think it's as immersion breaking as you may think. For example, Xian Yun is a device inventor. One of her contraptions is literally a working popcorn machine. Adepti can also make livable teapots through the use of adeptal energy and such. Maybe I'm wrong on this next point, correct me in the comments if I am, but we don't really know the full properties of Philistogen. For all we know, it could be equally as potent, if not more potent, than adeptal energy. Different regions seem to be at different points in time too. Mondstadt feels like it's technologically quite behind Fontaine, which has all of these intricate mechanical contraptions and grandiose buildings. Something very specific that Natlan has over the other places is Philistogen. When I asked you all about why Chaska has a flying gun, because it didn't really make sense to me, it was explained to me that apparently Shilonen is responsible for giving everybody their gadgets. Thank you for explaining, by the way, because the flying gun is... okay, that one's pretty hard to justify, not gonna lie. Shilonen has the ability to forge ancient names for people too, so it's not that far-fetched to me that she'd have impressive capabilities in terms of forming unique gadgets. Maybe I'm kind of biased since I really like the motorcycle. It's awesome in my opinion. I thought that Mavuika kinda looked like a race car driver from the very moment I saw her, and now I know that her outfit is more than just a cool-looking fireproof suit. It's a little modern, sure, but if we consider places like Sumeru and the Adeptal abodes, it's perhaps a little easier to believe that something like it would realistically be possible in the world of Teyvat through the use of Philistogen. Most people give both Mualani and Sitlali a pass, since both of them don't really have any major design aspects which are super modern out of nowhere. I've seen a lot of folks say that XYZ doesn't look like a Genshin character, and I'd say that both the Shark Surfer plus the Old Hag avoid those claims pretty easily. Fair enough, I don't have any additional comments to make here, both fit into Genshin's pre-established world pretty well. I'd say that Sitlali is probably the most quote-unquote Genshin character looking Natlan unit that we've gotten thus far. With Chaska, I do think the flying gun is pushing it a bit. I'm not sure why she couldn't have ridden a flying dinosaur or something like that. Probably for the sake of her kit, which in fairness is extremely fun. Shilonen made it too! Geez, good on her for being the best engineer in all of Teyvat. To be fair, the Jade Chamber is a flying house. We've had random flying things in this game for ages. I think the reason why Chaska's equipment in particular looks kinda funny is because it's just a silly concept in general. I don't hate it, I like using it in combat, But yeah, I'll admit this looks pretty funny in my opinion. Shilonen's an interesting one because I actually think the design is good, but she should have been put into ZZZ. The roller skates are fine in my opinion, considering that Yolan has a magic bracelet that lets her run really fast. At least I'm pretty sure that's the case, since it glows when she runs or when she has a special charge shot ready. The DJ equipment? I'm not a massive fan of that, even if it looks cool when she's operating it. However, if Fellistogen can operate motorcycles, then who's to say it can't operate musical equipment? We don't know the limits of Natlan's energy source. Fontaine Final Archon Quest spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if Fontaine's energy was strong enough to literally eliminate the divine throne of the Hydro Archon, deleting not only the current leader, but the possibility, the freaking concept of a future Hydro leader existing, then who's to say that Natlan's energy isn't equally as potent, if not more so? So honestly, while I do absolutely get where people are coming from when they say that certain design aspects are a bit modern, you can use Fellistogen and past region contraptions to justify a whole lot of it. If it still looks weird to you, completely fine. If you were expecting something different, there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think that there's a case to be made in favor of these gadgets due to how characters like Xianyun are a thing. One of the main reasons as to why I'm defending this quote-unquote weird design philosophy they chose for Natlan is because it's the calm before the storm. This is the final region we're going to that is relatively relaxed, if you will, before we get lore dump after lore dump, from Snezhnaya onwards. We're going into the most intense parts of the game after this, and we will most definitely be returning to the traditional aesthetic of Genshin characters once we leave Natlan. It's all a very region-specific, self-contained sort of thing. Shoot man, we've actually gotten some insane lore confirmations already. I won't say anything, but I'm sorry that anybody ever doubted you, Hat Guy, jeez. Proof? Simple, look at Lan Yan's drip art. This was released not long after the two Natlan 5 stars. Compare these two to the Liyue character. There's no fancy comic book effects, there's no funky looking Genshin impact, just the normal text only. You can't even make the 4-star argument, because then why does Kachina have a comic book aesthetic with all the color splashes going on? It's pretty clear to me that this sort of design philosophy is only for Natlan. Is it incredibly different from the rest of the game? Yes, but I want to make the most of this before we return to usual form. Don't get me wrong, I actually prefer the regular aesthetic myself, but this was an interesting way to shake up designs before we enter the game's late stages. If you don't like these designs anyway, you're completely justified in that. When you switch aesthetics after following a certain design philosophy for so long, obviously there's gonna be a large chunk of people who are thrown off by the new direction that Hoyo has taken here. There's absolutely nothing wrong with simply having preferences. If it's too modern for you, then that's fair enough. Shoot, I know that I myself was not completely sold on every Natlan unit from the first moment that I saw them. It took some getting used to for a couple of the characters, but I doubt that we're ever gonna see designs like this again once we leave Natlan. Well, of course we'll get the occasional Natlan-born release every now and then, but I have a feeling that Snezhnaya's era is gonna put a greater emphasis on Mondstadt characters outside of the obvious future Snezhnaya lineup that they have planned, because we're nearing some of the game's most serious moments. Varka and Alice have got to be close to releasing at this point. If you genuinely hate all of the Natlan characters and think they have zero redeeming qualities whatsoever, then you can at least look forward to the next region over, which will probably see us returning to form when it comes to the old Genshin aesthetics. I'm enjoying this silly experimental style while it lasts, because it certainly won't be around forever. It's completely fair to not like what you see, but I can't help but really enjoy what's come out of the region so far. We knew from the very beginning that every single character from here would have some sort of cool travel gimmick, and so far, Hoyo has absolutely delivered on that front. It kinda checks out to me that Mavuika has a motorcycle, since Archons don't only embody the spirit of their core element, but their entire region too. All of Natlan's cast has a great travel gimmick that comes with their kit, so of course we can presume that the Archon will be able to cover ground very quickly, while probably also being able to ride up walls. What I want to know is how far can that thing jump? Would be cool if we could do some epic cliff jumping with it. I suppose I'm lucky, because Hoyo's made two Natlan characters that seriously appeal to me. I can definitely tell that they're different, sure, but I like them anyway. Sure, a motorcycle Archon sounds kind of ridiculous on paper, but I'm willing to give it a chance. Yeah, it might look ridiculous, but what if it ends up looking really cool? You never know. When you make such a massive shift in your design philosophy, there's always going to be people who won't like it. I was pretty surprised to see the amount of people who didn't like what they saw with Mavuika's motorcycle. It's absolutely more than fine to dislike some designs, and you aren't stupid or bad for thinking Autoron looks kinda corny, for instance. While you can make the modernity argument, I give these gadgets a pass due to Philistogen and the proven strength of collected Numa plus Ouija energy, also because it turns out really cool for some characters. This region definitely has some of the most mixed receptions I've ever seen to a majority of its designs. But what do you think about all of this? Are Natlan's designs all a bit too modern for your tastes, or do you think Philistogen is a good enough justification? Or are you perhaps willing to look past the odd nature of it all in the name of coolness? Let me know down below in the comments, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hopefully this video was able to ask you the question of whether Natlan's designs are too modern or not. This has been Juice, signing out, and see you all when Capitano has a ginormous helicopter or something.